This is SoapBox News, brought to you by the Small Business Surgeon Podcast. Check it out on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you find your podcasts. And by Texas Media Foundry. Video production for transportation, industrial, small and large businesses all across the country. Check them out at txfoundry.com.
Hello and welcome to the very first episode of SoapBox News. I am your host, Samuel Smith. Some of you may know me as the Small Business Surgeon, but I thought I'd give reading some news and commentary a go. It's something I've always wanted to do. So what is this? What is SoapBox? Why am I talking about this? Well, late last year, a group of investors came to me and asked me if I'd be interested in producing a news show. And I said, yes, of course I would. And then it turned out into, well, what we really need is a place to propagate this show, a platform. And so I've spent the last year putting together a team and an app and a platform that ourselves and other podcasters and other journalists and other legitimate broadcasters can put their media on without fear of being censored. And I wanted to make a show where I reviewed the news on the internet, and I review it with guest hosts. I'm auditioning for a second host, and then I'd like to have some guest hosts on here as well. So if you're interested in that, drop us a line. But I thought I'd like to put this together. And as we're building the platform, I can build the audience with the platform. I can get some practice at reading the news and putting together a television show. Obviously, we're doing this in my studio. We're not doing it in a custom studio with big TV cameras or big production budget. This is me building an audience. This is me providing value. It's us testing and building and getting ready for the launch of this app, the launch of this platform, which is called SoapBox. And again, it's going to be a streaming app, the video and podcast streaming that operates independently of the way the current internet's set up, so it will not be censored, and it's going to run with a revenue share model for content creators. So what we're going to do is all the revenue that the platform generates, it will be shared back in vast quantities with the content creators. I'm really looking forward to that bit because I believe that there's so much opportunity out here for people providing value in the marketplace. I think the market should decide who gets paid and who doesn't get paid. And I think that audiences should decide who they listen to based on whether or not they like them and whether or not they trust them. And I think a lot of us don't really trust what's being talked about. And so, I thought, why not? Fuck it. I'll take the opportunity to put a camera up in front of me and start developing this show as we build out the platform. Now, my guys are telling me the platform's going to be kind of sort of ready in another 4 to 5 months. So this gives us plenty of run-up time. It gives us plenty of time to start practicing building the news program. It gives us time to start interviewing and finding the right people for the team. But for now, it's just going to be me and whatever guests come along and want to drop their name in a hat, and we can figure that out. But that's all coming over the next few weeks. So if it'd be great if you'd stick around, support the show, follow us on Facebook at SoapBox News. We've got a page set up over there. We'll have the YouTube and the Twitter and the Instagram and all that good stuff. And the whole point of this is to build a little traction, build a little energy, build a little notoriety and an audience. So when we do launch the streaming platform and we launch that service, we can attract top quality talent from around the world, top quality producers, podcasters, media companies, journalists, all of it. We want to build this space for them and share the revenue, because the more money we can put back into journalism and into content creation, the better content that we get to consume as an audience. And by voting with our wallets and letting the free market decide who to support, I think that's a much better system for information distribution than the one we've currently got. So, I was waiting for somebody else to build it and nobody did. So I said, well, you know what, we'll give it a shot. And that's what I'm going to do. So this is SoapBox News, and I'm the small business surgeon, man. I've been around for a little bit, a couple of years as a podcaster and as a consultant. I recently divested myself of a real estate company to focus on this full time. I own a media company called the Texas Media Foundry, and for now, SoapBox News is sponsored by my consulting firm, the Small Business Surgeon, and by Texas Media Foundry, who's helping me produce this. So if you would like to be involved in the show or in sponsoring the show, just let me know, because I would love to. I'd love to add a few more sponsors. We have actually worked out a couple of affiliate deals with some companies of whose products I actually use. So it's not like I'm going to ever endorse something I won't use. I don't want to be bought and paid for as a broadcaster. I don't want to be silenced. I don't want to be muted. Whatever I say is whatever I say. And if you like it, great. I hope you comment back. I hope you share. I hope you add some insight. And if you don't like it, then there's loads of other people. You can go and watch them, and it'll be great. You know, I'm just trying to put out content into the world the way I see it. So, all right, without further ado, I am going to talk about some articles I've seen in the news. Normally there'd be dialogue. We'd be discussing a few things and sharing opinions. I do have strong opinions on things. However, I'm willing to change my opinions and my positions based on the introduction of new evidence, which hopefully, a second host and then guest host will be able to bring on board. So not only am I trying to learn as much as I can, I'm trying to get a better, more dialed in opinion on stuff. I think that's quite important, to be educated that way, and what better than to learn from other people. So the first articles we're going to look at, it is election day. No, it's the day after election day. What's that called? Is that like Boxing Day for elections? Do you know that? We should look that up. What's the day after elections? Anyway, it's the day we found out who won and who lost. And I have to throw a shout out to Bobby Gutierrez, who won Bryan Mayer. That was well deserved, Bobby. He's been around town a long time. He's done a lot of good around Bryan. So well done, mate. Condolences to my other mate, David. David Levine was running for city council, and he lost a very narrow margin. But I'm sure he'll be back again for another try. So unlucky, David. But we believe in you, mate. And shit, maybe he'll come and be a guest presenter. I don't know. So looking at the national elections, right? All the media and all the storm in the run-up to the national elections was pushing this red wave. Apparently, the public was so pissed off with the Democrats that the red people were going to vote them out and get rid of all the Democrats. And so they projected this red wave to wash over the country. And, well, it just didn't happen. Now, I'm going to pause for a second while I make sure my screen is recording here. Okay, yes it is. Again, I'm still new looking at this. But from what I can see on the election results, and, forgive me, I've nipped over across the seas to the Daily Mail. It's a tabloid newspaper in England, but as far as reporting American elections, it's fairly unbiased, except for, man, yeah. This whole thing seems like a bad movie. I don't really know what's going on politically anymore in this country. Currently, they're projecting. That's tight. So we still don't know the election results, and I doubt we will. Why is that? Why does it take so long to count these fucking things? Like, all right. We have the technology now to do just about anything we can think of. We can transfer money instantly from one side of the world to the other. We can do all kinds of things really, 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 really super securely. And yet, I don't understand why it takes so long to count votes. I don't understand why we're still using a voting system that can be so easily manipulated. I don't know who won the elections yet. It's too early to tell. None of us do. But is it maybe time that we thought about, hey, how do we tighten this up a bit? I'm not suggesting elections are rigged one way or another. I just think that there's enough smoke out there, like there's enough noise out there, there's enough questionable activity out there for us as a country to go, all right, what technologies are available that will better help us to get a more accurate and faster vote? Like, I don't know, but I'd be willing to bet that there'd be a solution that we could come up with. you know, we're like the most technologically advanced country in the world, supposedly, and yet, yeah, our elections make us look like a like a third world dictatorship. It's quite strange that the bastion of freedom and democracy, the way the elections operate. And so, if I had a co-host, we'd probably dig into that and you know, debate solutions for trying to come up with a better idea to count votes, because it shouldn't take a day, a week, you know, to count votes. It should be as soon as the polling places are closed, the software should already have the answer, you know? So, I don't know, maybe it's time to have a chat about that. I don't know, but I would definitely like to hear what you think. All right, let's move on to the next article. Let's see what we've got next on my page. And while you get a chance, don't forget, pop over to the Facebook group, SoapBox News, follow the group, and then as I get to it this week, I will have the website up, and I would like you all to drop comments on the website and questions on any of the news articles that we have. But that website, soapboxnews.com, will be up and running by the end of this week. I just haven't had a minute to get with the website guys and get that put together yet. So that is that's coming up. All right, next news article. What have we got, Tex? Let's take a look. I don't want to talk about John Fetterman. Do you want me to talk about John Fetterman?
No.
No. Tex says no. No talk about John Fetterman. I'll talk about him very briefly because he actually beat Dr. Oz, which I thought was quite amusing, because Dr. Oz doesn't even live in Pennsylvania. Like, he's not from there. Like, he just spent a shitload of money and he lost to a fella who, you know, he wears hoodies and jeans. Now, I don't know any of Fetterman's political stances. I have not researched him. I just thought that, as everybody else did, oh, Dr. Oz, you know, the celebrity will win. Because, you know, you think Ronald Reagan won, didn't he? He was a famous actor. And you just think anybody famous that runs for politics should be like a shoo-in, just because of the audience they bring and the brand name, the brand recognition. But this guy just got fucking battered by a guy that wears a hoodie. And I think that's highly entertaining. It serves him right. And there's another question. Look at that. Look how close that is. Look on my screen now, Tex. How close those guys are. 56,000 votes. Isn't it crazy when you've got 5 million, almost 5 million total votes cast, that 56,000 votes can decide who gets in and decide the which way the state representation is? That just goes to show just how, like, divided this shit is. Now, a big question I've got, right, and I don't know either one of these policies. I've not followed this race closely, right? But what if the red and the blue didn't exist, right? And you had a guy that ran with one foot in capitalism and one foot in socialism and responsibly managed to... Do you think that everybody would vote for the guy in the middle? Or do you think we'd still be divided by such things as the abortion issues, by the trans rights issues, and the things that are, like, deliberately brought to the forefront to divide us? Why? Because if I... And I'll just use abortion as an example here. So if I am pro-life, no matter what, I am voting for the pro-life candidate if you make that my only option on the ballot. If I am pro-choice, no matter what, I am voting for the pro-choice candidate, right? That is such a divisive issue, okay? And maybe one day we'll talk about my stance on those issues, maybe we won't, I don't know, but it's such a divisive fucking issue. What if we didn't vote on decisive issues in these kind of elections? What if we took those type of issues and we debated them in front of a full house? Right? What if we debated those there? What if we didn't vote on those issues in elections? I don't know. What if we voted on education and we voted on healthcare and we voted on building jobs and infrastructure shit, and we just left all the far left and all the far right out of the game? What if we had sensible elections and then we voted on the really, really, really tricky shit? Like, because it is, let's be honest. I mean, the abortion is incredibly tricky to navigate. The gay rights, the trans rights, especially, very, very difficult to navigate for anybody, whether in politics or out of politics. But if we voted on that kind of stuff separately from like the other stuff, maybe that would help. I don't know. And the whole point, again, of this is to have a co-host here going, Sam, that's a little bit crazy, or Sam, that's a good idea, or no, I think that's so. If you've got comments, or if you want to audition for co-host, you know, the spot is open. I did have like 3 people reach out this morning after this morning's Facebook Live, so there will definitely be rotating hosts. There's not a whole lot of podcasters available where I'm at, so I've got some driving from Houston, and then we may pick up and record a few episodes in Dallas just so we can get the guest hosts going around there. But yeah, that's where I'm at politically, man. It's such a tight margin in a lot of these races. I wonder if a guy that stood in the middle that existed, you know, and said, hey, let's just work for the good of the common good. Holy shit. Like, we could get a lot done. All right, let's done with that. I'm tired of election stuff. Unless you got anything to add, Tex? No, Tex says we're good. He says go to the next article, which is also election-based. Voters approve recreational marijuana in Missouri. I believe they also approved it in Maryland. I'm reading this off of the Associated Press. Maryland and Missouri, but it was rejected in 2 other states. Look at that. So 21 states have approved marijuana's recreational use. Arkansas and North Dakota voters rejected legalization proposals in Tuesday's elections. That's fair enough. South Dakota is still too early to call. So maybe 3 of the 5 will legalize. Maybe 3 of the 5 will be against legalization. You know, personally, I'm pro marijuana legalization. I think that by taxing it, I think we're missing out on amazing revenue streams. And I don't think, as a former alcoholic, I don't think it's anywhere near as damaging to people as alcohol is. I think there's plenty of long-term studies on the use of marijuana now. I think that if you dive back in the history books, Thomas Jefferson himself said how fond he was of sitting on his back porch, looking over his plantation, smoking his weed pipe. So I know why marijuana was made illegal. I get it. I think it's time to take a look at it. And you know, it's not legal in Texas. I don't advocate breaking the law whatsoever. But I do advocate, like, you know, voting on this if this is something. And that's one of the things about voting. You know, if I wanted legal marijuana, I could move to Colorado. I could do that, right? So I like the fact that we've got the autonomy as a nation to decide our own fates. But if you want to legalize marijuana, get it on the ballot and vote for it. Like, I love that. Like, if you want to change the law, if you want to change the rules, campaign hard enough and put enough effort into it and get enough people on your side, and you can do that. So, yeah. It's interesting, though, to see. I think that I don't think there's a single state that's had a real negative impact from legalizing. And I think if we were to do sensible things with the tax dollars, like maybe pay teachers, I don't know, because I know a lot of people that would love to be teachers but not live in poverty. You know, there's a lot of things we could do with that extra money. So, you know, maybe it's time to take a longer, closer look at that. But it is definitely time to pay teachers more money. I'm a huge proponent of that. Does anyone know where we can get money for teachers from? Make a note of that. We'll have to solve that problem. That coffee is hot. Tex is going to run that in the highlights now. I'm burning myself on my coffee. God damn it. Sorry, I forgot. I just filled my coffee up. I got it from the Village Cafe next door, so shout out to the Village. If you're in downtown Bryan, go get some coffee. They don't pay me as an affiliate, but they do keep my coffee cup full on a regular basis. So, all right, let's move off the election stuff now. I want to take a look at this one. Ooh, this is big news today. Facebook parent Meta is preparing large-scale layoffs this week. From Reuters, repeating the Wall Street Journal. It's funny how that works, isn't it? So like the Wall Street Journal reports it, and then Reuters reports the Wall Street Journal reporting it. And now I'm reporting Reuters reporting the Wall Street Journal reporting it. That's weird. I don't know why we just don't go to Wall Street Journal and look it up. All right, so Reuters is reporting, and it's pretty much the cat's out of the bag now. Boy, Meta's, man, they fucked up. They really, really messed up. Yeah, like, God, where do you even begin with that? Like, who wants to live in a virtual world? Like, the metaverse sounds really cool until you actually, like, get into the metaverse, and then it's just weird. And I wonder if they've not, like, really misjudged the public demand for living in virtual reality. Virtual reality, like, I've played on an Oculus a couple of times, and the ping pong games are real fun, and the laser with the blocks is fun. But, like, I don't think people are ready to just put that on and wander around with it. Do you, Tex? No, Tex says no too. Like, how do you just, like, fucking sit there with that thing on the whole time and just not go crazy? And I think they've really misjudged just, like, how few people really want to live in that world. Now, they might be onto something with the kids. You know, I've got two kids. I've got two boys, like 11 and 9, and they just they crave these screens. They just go after them, and you know, I wonder if Meta's not maybe 15 years early. I mean, something like that. That might make a little more sense. But you would have to start with a generation and have them grow on it. I don't think there's anybody that I know of personally that like wants to spend a lot of time in that virtual world. And when you pull back and look at other places that have tried it, EXP Real Estate have a virtual digital world, and it just doesn't, man, it's so weird, like, talking to these me's, because they look like you're out of a fucking shitty Nintendo thing from 15 years ago. I'm not trying to rant on VR or Metaverse, but I think from a business perspective, man, he messed this up. Because, I mean, he's laying off like 10% of his workforce, $67 billion off the stock market value, adding to the listen to this shit, more than $500 billion in value lost already this year. $500 billion. That makes me feel successful. Now, how much money did you lose this year? Oh, well, so far I've only lost, like, 20 grand. No, we're down $500 billion. Is that right? 500 billion. More than $500 billion. How many? That is so many monies. That's so much. How do you lose $500 billion fucking dollars unless you're the Department of Defense? Yeah, that's just an insane amount of money to lose. Where did it go? Like, where did that go? I don't understand. Wow. That is a huge amount of money to lose. Oof. Damn, you better get out, because Facebook's going like MySpace. Wow. And it's funny because, like, half of you are watching this on Facebook, but wow, that's a huge amount of money to lose. The disappointing outlook comes as Meta is contending with slowing global economic growth, competition from TikTok, privacy changes from Apple, concerns about massive spending on the metaverse, and the ever-present threat of regulation. You know what fucked Facebook up? You know what really messed them up? It was for banning people during COVID. That's what messed them up. People just started leaving. They just said, you know what, peace, we're gone. Like, it was for banning people that were talking about vaccines. It was for banning people that were giving different political arguments. It was for banning people that said shit about Q and believed conspiracy theories. And so many people got sick of Facebook. And at the exact same time, so many people that didn't want to discuss that shit just left Facebook. I think it really put them in a bind. I definitely saw a drop in usage amongst my younger friends. Like, I struggle to find active Facebook users in their mid to late 20s and up. Like, they just all switched off from it, like, all gone. And you can't get them back. Like, it's done. Like, Facebook's not gonna suddenly get fucking popular again. Facebook's gonna just slowly, and it'll hit a plateau and it'll chill for a bit, and then it'll dip again and hit a plateau, and then it'll dip again, and then bye. Like, you know, there'll be some of us that keep it forever, like dinosaurs, because we've got 20 years worth of pictures on here. But it will get to a point where it's seen as a generational platform, and nobody younger than a certain age uses it, unless they're trying to sell shit to people that are older than them. But like, really, you know, I think Facebook has lost all the kids. Like, I think Facebook's done. And, you know, I am not like the smartest investor you've ever run across, but I don't know if I'd be looking at buying into Facebook right now. I think they could be going through a few painful quarters. Yeah, I mean, they've got 11,000 jobs. I mean, that's more than 10% of their workforce. I mean, that's a lot. But like, you think of what that would do. I mean, I hope that number's kind of spread out globally. But you know, you lose 1,000 jobs in a market. I don't know how many folks in Austin work for Facebook, but boy, I know that those people have been coming in there. They've been building, and I hope that it all stays afloat. I don't want to talk about doom and gloom. I'm here to look for opportunities and ways to make things better. However, that does look like a lot of people being out of work. And fortunately for entrepreneurs, that means that the talent pool will be increasing rapidly. So for those of you that own your own businesses, be on the lookout. If there's that level of talent that you want to pick up, now's actually probably a really good time to start hiring. And without being derogatory to the folks you'll be hiring, you could probably get I don't want to say a discounted rate, but you could probably get some very good value for money with the current job market the way it's shaping up. So it might be a good time if you're feeling like it. You can probably find some talent out there. It's time for a commercial break. Oh, look at that. And the funny thing about these commercials is they're ones that I made. Well, that to say me and my trusty team over at the Texas Media Foundry. So my name is Sam and I'm the presenter of SoapBox News and currently its only sponsor. The Small Business Surgeon is my consulting company and the Texas Media Foundry is my media company, and this is the kind of stuff we make. I'm taking a minute now to showcase what we do so that we can generate some revenue from putting together SoapBox News. So thank you for looking at this and take a look at our work, and if there's anything that you see there that you like recreated for your company, we'd love to work with you. So without further ado, let's get back to the news, and if you need video or help with your small business, you know who to call. All right, let's move to the next headline. What have we got for next? Ooh, from the BBC. BBC News. I like the BBC. I don't like the way they cover up certain news stories for certain individuals, but if you've listened to any of my shows in the past, you'll know that. But as far as a news service, I would say they're fairly good. So we're getting an update from the Russia-Ukrainian conflict. Is it correct to call it a conflict, a war, a skirmish, a scuffle, a clusterfuck? Anything? No? I don't know what Tex is writing down there. Probably change slide now. Again, we're still putting the show together. We're still figuring out the protocols and what goes where. He did make a banging intro, though. Didn't you love that intro? If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. Thanks for that. Tex put the thumbs up. All right, what are we doing here? Russia to withdraw troops from key Ukrainian city. Kherson. Kherson? Kherson. I don't know how to say that. So in the future, remember to write down, practice pronunciation of foreign cities. Right, we'll write that down. I'll get to that. All right, so some fellas reporting from Kherson. We'll just go with Kherson for now. If it's wrong, please correct me. Russia's military has been ordered to pull out of the Ukrainian city of Kherson, the only regional capital it captured after invading in February. What is going on over there? Wow, there's so much to unpack about Ukraine. Can't do it all in one show. Definitely don't want to approach it without a co-host, that's for sure. But wow, there's so much to unpack about Ukraine. The first questions I would have about Ukraine is, if you remember in 2014, the media were reporting Ukraine as a hotbed of Nazi activity. And, you know, you gotta click back a few articles to go find that. But there's a documentary came out in 2017 called Ukraine on Fire. And I'll try and get a link to that into the show notes, that showed just who was running Ukraine and just how corrupt it was. So, like, it's a tricky one to deal with this, because when Putin came out and said, you know, we're not trying to invade Ukraine, we just want to denazify it and get rid of the Nazis, I'm like, well, shit, maybe he's got a point, because I remember watching that documentary. Like, I remember reading in the news that Ukraine was struggling with that shit, and I'm like, huh. Now, everything that we're seeing on this war, I'm convinced is propaganda from one side or another. Obviously, I'm more inclined to believe our news sources on what's going on. But like, while we're on this issue of war in Ukraine, how do you put this, man? Like, while we're on this issue of the war in Ukraine, I think that a little bit of attention needs to be paid to Ukrainian political history from about 2010 to now, and the involvement of our politicians on both sides of the aisle. Like, this isn't a Democrat-Republican problem. This is a political people problem. They had children who all served on the boards of Ukrainian companies for quite large amounts of money. And when you look at what's going on now, and the amount of foreign aid going to Ukraine and the amount of American aid and British aid going to the Ukraine, you just have to kind of wonder if there's a little bit more to the story than meets the eye. And so, again, if I had a co-host here, we could maybe open up this subject a little bit and talk about it, and maybe go find some source articles. I will definitely put links to the documentary in the show notes. I'll definitely put links to the 2014 news articles out as well, because I think that as a population, like, you know, this is weird because I live in America. I'm from England. I've lived in America for 20 years. Half my audience is in England. I get more streams out of London for the Small Business Surgeon than I get out of, well, no, I get most out of Texas. But Texas, then London, then the rest of America. So I get a lot of shit from England too. So I do want to I'll touch on certain English stuff, but like, for my American guys, don't think I don't know. I don't know how to phrase that. I'm going to have one foot over there and one foot over here. But like, as like free people, or technically free people, I for one would like my tax dollars to go towards like building infrastructure in America, for example, or building schools in England if they're English tax dollars. You know, I'd like it to go towards things that like are benefiting everybody. And I don't know what's going on in Ukraine, but I do know that constant ongoing international conflict is a really, really, really good way of moving money out of the American and European tax bases, washing that money in conflict, and then returning it back to shareholders of privately owned companies. So yeah, I don't know, maybe as a population that deserves a little bit of thinking about, and maybe there's some things we can change, maybe there's some things we can vote for that we can change. I'd certainly like to know, you know, a little bit more about where the money's going and how it's being spent. I think that taxes are a vitally important part of society, but I think that they could probably be spent a little bit better. And I would imagine that most of you guys watching would agree. Anyway, moving on, we are going to find the next article. We've got just a couple more, and then I'm gonna let you guys go. So this next article I cannot find. Where is it? Oh, bollocks. We'll go find it. It was about the celebrity exodus from Twitter that has happened since Elon Musk took over this last couple of weeks. That's a weird deal, isn't it, Tex? Elon Musk buying Twitter. It was funny that he put Chief Twit. I thought he was going to put Chief Twat. It would have worked better, you know. But fair play to him, Chief Twit. You know what? If I had the money, I'd buy Twitter. I think that'd be fun to own your own social media network. There's definitely something to be said for the amount of control that one guy has over a narrative. But I mean, that's the game. That's capitalism. The guy with the biggest budget has the loudest voice. You know, that's just how it works, unfortunately. Or fortunately, you know, the more people you have in your audience, the more money you can generate. And so round and round it goes. And Musk is buying Twitter on a data deal. Like, it's for the data. It's so that, like, he can, like, Tesla, again, it's not a car company, it's a data company. So now you pair everything the cars know about the roads, about people, about driving habits, and now you compare Twitter with the AI that's running through Twitter and learning how people talk. And Twitter is really like a real-time feedback from real people, for the most part, on political issues as they're happening. So I can understand why he bought it, but it makes me fucking laugh that people are leaving in protest. Good for you. Good for you. You should leave. Because if people want to listen to you, they will fucking follow you, right? They will go to where you're at so they can continue listening to you. So if you don't like Twitter, you're free to leave, right? That's how it should be. Like, you can't say, oh, he's not doing this, he's not doing that, this ain't right, I'm gonna leave. If he's not doing this and that, take your shit, say, I wanna build something, and go build it to where you've got what you want. This is like how this free market shit works. So I don't think that Elon's out of line at all by buying a company and then laying down the rules that he wants the company to be run by. I will note his employment practices are going down like a lead balloon over at Twitter, quite harsh. He's enforcing all kinds of extra hours and we work till the job's finished kind of rules, which, you know, I don't know, man. Like, it's almost like he's cut the workforce in half and then, like, almost tried to kick it up the arse and re-implement a startup feel. Like, even though Twitter's a mature company, it's like he's tried to, like, knock it back a few years, you know, give it a slap and put it into startup mode and into grind mode. And I'm really kind of interested to see what he's going to do over there. You know, there's rumor he's trying to create an all-in-one ultimate app, which may or may not be true. I don't know. I mean, it would be a smart move if I was trying to control that much stuff. Yeah, for sure. But I'll be putting stuff on Twitter under SoapBox News. You can find us on there. And ultimately, the goal of SoapBox is to build that platform. Not to rival Twitter, not at all. We want to build, well, shit, we are building. Just isn't finished yet. We're building a streaming platform for media companies, for news companies, for podcasters, those kind of guys to put their content on, drive their subscribers to, and then get a share of the revenue that it generates. Because, you know, I think the more we give back, the more content we can produce, the better content we can produce, the more viewers we can get, the more content we can produce. And it just, the more you fund it, the more it grows. And honestly, the more fun that you get to have, because this is what I want to do for my job. I enjoy consulting. I enjoy being the small business surgeon. I enjoy putting marketing stuff together with the Texas Media Foundry. And I enjoy doing this and talking about it and learning about stuff and studying this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much that's pretty much it, man. I'm doing this because it's what I love to do and it's what I want to do. And if I focus on this and focus on building an audience and focus on building this app, then it will be what I get to do. You know, but in order to receive value, I have to give value. So here I am, trying my best to be valuable. All right, we've got one more article I want to discuss today. And again, I can't find the link, so Tex might pause the show, or he might just let me languish over here while I look for it. I'll just fucking keep talking. How do I search this bloody thing? Hold on. Egg thrown at king. There we go. We'll bring that up, still record it. Here we go. So, right, lots of different sources reporting this. let's just pick one. We'll go and look at Newsweek. And again, I got loads of links. I'm just literally just clicking one. All right, so Newsweek says King Charles, and that still feels really funny to say, by the way, King Charles. All right, so in Micklegate, York, so super proud of that kid. Well done. Micklegate and York. York is my home city. I was born about, I don't know, 20 minutes outside of York. So a huge fan of the fact that somebody from York threw an egg at the king. I would not personally throw an egg at the king, but I think it's very fitting that the chap that did it was from York, because that's where Guy Fawkes was from also, who was the last guy to try to get rid of a king. Wasn't that King Charles too? It was 1605. No, it was King James. Yes, it was King James the First. All right, that Guy Fawkes tried to blow up. But Guy Fawkes was from York as well. And as a kid, we would burn an effigy of the guy, you know, on Guy Fawkes night, November 5th. Remember the 5th of November, you know, and we'd go around and we'd collect stuff for a bonfire. And then, like, always the old women of the village would always have, like, you know, just spare shit they'd give to us. And we'd get straw and newspaper and we'd stuff all these clothes and we'd make a Guy Fawkes and we'd burn him on top of the bonfire. And later on I learned that we burned him because he tried to blow up the king, and we love our king and we burn people that tried to blow up the king, and you know, I'm a little bit like not for that now. I don't think we should burn anyone, to be honest. Now, as well, I don't think people should try to blow up the king, no, but I don't think that putting them on a bonfire is a good cure for it. And then when I started learning about how kings work and how republics work and how money works and how banking systems work, I decided that I think, in my opinion, we'd be better off without kings anymore. I do not believe that there is a magical right to rule that is attached to, you know, emerging from a vagina. Like, there has to be a reason somebody rules. And you know, I don't know if they still have the rule left where you can chop off their head and steal the crown. But, like, you know, how is that any kind of way to form a system of government and form a system of power? Because, like, if you stuck to the script, right, say that guy didn't have an egg, say he had a sword, right, and he chopped off the king's head, took his crown and ran away with it, and said, I'm the king now, like, he'd get shot. But if you go back far enough in history, that's what happened. And so it seems quite odd that we still, as a society, base our ruling and, like, the system of government off a monarchy. Like, what are you doing? It's look, you know, I'm not saying, like, we get rid of them. Just, like, put them over here, retire those guys. Right, you're retired now, off you go, you get a little pension to live off of, the rest of the money goes back to the public, like, the public keep up with this stuff, it goes to fund employment programs, it goes to fund education programs, you've got all these beautiful public buildings, like, you could do that, you could totally do it. I don't know, it just seems to be a really, really weird way to rule. And, you know, the guy that threw the egg, dude, look, Yorkshire has one of the finest cricket teams in existence. You really need to go down and see them lads and get some practice, because that was terrible. You should be more ashamed of your inability to throw an egg than you are the fact that you tried to hit the king. I would be ashamed if that's how bad at throwing I was. Yeah, I think it's a shame all around. In reality, I think that you should be able to protest a monarch, but there's a line. I think you can protest very well with a sign. I think you can get enough people together and protest well with a group of signs. You have every right to do that. But you can't go chucking eggs at old men, mate. Come on, that's not right. Like, even though I get it, you just can't do that. That's not how to affect proper change. It's not how to change the law. It's not how to change any kind of system. Like, I think that it is time for a sensible debate about reducing the role of monarchy. I really do. But throwing eggs, I don't know. I gotta give you a thumbs down for that, mate. Anyway, all right, that's it. That's the last of my news articles for today. So what I'd like to challenge you guys to do is, if you've any comments at all, any feedback, I would love it. I would love to fill this second seat for co-host. The format I'm shooting for is for a couple, 3 to 4 maybe, consistent co-hosts, and then I would like to have a guest every day as well. I would also like to interview experts. Okay, so any of the things that are in the news, if you've got any kind of political expert that I can interview, if you have an expert on Ukraine, if you're an expert on Russia, if you have an expert on Twitter, if you are yourself an expert, like, I'm trying to make this as cool and as open and as educational as possible. So I would love to interview my experts on stuff. If you know anybody like that, tag them in the comments. Go join the Facebook group, SoapBox News, like the show, like all that good stuff. Share it out for me, and yeah, we're gonna start doing this every single day. I'm gonna get me some co-hosts, and above all, I'm gonna make this platform, I'm gonna make this app, and we're really gonna make an effort, man. I think we're gonna sell it. Tex, what do you think, pal? Yeah, Tex says he's in. All right, guys, that's going to do it from me for today. You'll please be good, stay safe, share the show, and I'll see you same time tomorrow. Take care.
This is SoapBox News, brought to you by the Small Business Surgeon Podcast. Check it out on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you find your podcasts. And by Texas Media Foundry. Video production for transportation, industrial, small and large businesses all across the country. Check them out at txfoundry.com.